Welcome, everyone. This is Staying Sane Principles for Survival, how to survive in your classroom. I'm Danny Bateman, and I have 34 years of teaching experience. Now, 30 years with Edmonton Public Schools as a teacher, working mostly with students that have disabilities. And so that's been my career, and I have learned how to survive. And so I have a few things to share that really helped me over the years, and I hope they will help you. As always, there's lots of ideas, and some ideas you'll be like, no, I'm not never going to cut and paste into my progress reports, and so that's okay. That's fine. You can say, no, that's not a great idea for me. But I'm hopeful that I'll give you so many ideas about staying sane that you will be able to thrive and not just survive. So we're moving from survival to thriving, basically. I'll never forget my first year as a teacher. It was the year from hell. Like, I just couldn't get respect of the students. And then when I finally did, I didn't like myself with the students, how mean I had to be or strict. And I just really struggled that I was either Mary Poppins or like a drill sergeant. I just couldn't find that balance in the middle. And I got to the end of my first year and I said to my wife, I'm not going to be a teacher. No more of this. This was just a year of torture. And I couldn't be myself. And it was just, I'm miserable. And I want to be a marriage counselor or something else. My wife was like, we just got married. How can you be a marriage counselor when we just got, I said, well, it's all theory, Anyway, so I was like ready to quit. And then my wife said something really intelligent, even especially those who were in my last session know how intelligent she is, how wise she is. My wife said this thing that was so wise. She said, well, if you teach one more year, you can have your Alberta permanent certificate. Then guess what? You can go be a marriage counselor, do whatever you want. And at least you'll have your Alberta permanent certificate and you can go back to teaching if you ever choose. I'm like, oh, that makes too much sense. Okay, one more year. Well, the second year, as you know from my teaching for 34 years or 35, I can't even keep track anymore. Anyway, I loved it. It was fantastic. I was able to find that balance between the drill sergeant and Mary Poppins. And I think one of my keys of staying sane in that second year was kind of teaching individuals rather than the whole class, because I found that certain individuals needed that strictness and certain individuals I could be myself with and joke with and have fun with. And I just found that balance in my second year. And guess what? Every year got better. Those of you who are experienced, you know this, don't you? Every year just gets better. Well, there's those few blips. Okay. I know those blips. I had that 1 year from HE double hockey sticks that I'll share with you. But I guess the message I'm trying to give you as you're trying to stay sane is that it gets better. And even if you have a bad day, you all know this, think about it. That bad day was terrible. And then you go to work the next day and it's amazingly good. And you're like, what happened? This, this crazy ride of teaching, things change from day to day. They change from year to year. They change from class to class. And so student to student, they change. Students can make our life so happy. They can make our life a living hell. So, I have lots of great tips that I hope can be very helpful. Be sure you're muted, but I really, really encourage any chat. So please contribute in the chat box. And I have Murray. Wave at everybody, Murray. Thank you, Murray, for being my moderator. Murray's going to monitor the chat box. And the first question is, will I share my slides? The answer is no. But if I come to a good slide, I'll say, take a screenshot of these slides. And this is being recorded, so you still have access to it after convention is over. I just do this all the time. I've done this presentation at like 10 different schools or conventions and stuff like that. And so it's my stuff that I don't want to see showing up somewhere else, but you're welcome to take screenshots. Okay, so here's what I came up with are 8 principles. And what do I mean by principle? I mean that these are true. So I have all these strategies that you may or may not use, but it is absolutely true that you need to take care of yourself, right? You know, when you go into the class and you're happy, your personal life is good, or you're happy, I find I can just roll with the problems really so much easier. That behavior I can like not take so seriously. I can teach more enthusiastically and more passionately. I am so much better. I am a so much better teacher when I'm happy and when I'm well and when I'm taking good care of myself. So we're going to talk about that principle. We're going to talk about the relationship you have with the students, because it is an absolute truth that this is crucial to learning, that the student-teacher relationship is absolutely critical. The most effective way to have a good classroom management is to engage the students. Now, these days, classroom management is changing from dealing with difficult or inappropriate behavior. That's kind of the old school way of thinking about classroom management. These days, we're thinking of classroom management more in lines with protocol and all the stuff we have to do with COVID and that kind of management. But the principle is still the same. I really believe, and I'll share with you some things that apply to COVID protocol or apply to difficult behavior, engaging them and making sure that the protocol and the behavior doesn't get in the way of engagement, or gets in the way of engagement as little as possible. Principle number 4 that I will talk about is that learners with diverse learning needs and exceptionalities, they just need to feel understood, like they're good at something, and have a little choice in their life, a little independence. This comes from the Circle of Courage theory by Martin Brokenleg, who wrote the book Reclaiming Youth at Risk. These 3 things are part of his Circle of Courage, and they are gold. I find it really works to help them feel like they are understood, they can do something, and they have choice. All right, here's some other principles. Some of us are here because our parents are driving us crazy. Some of us are here because our administrators driving us crazy. Some of us are administrators and we drive people crazy. No, I'm just kidding. So I have some tips if that is a struggle. And even if it's not a struggle, getting along with your parents and your administrators or your supervisors, I think is really important. And I have some great tips for that. I have some tips about taking shortcuts. I mentioned that one at the very beginning, right? I think there are all kinds of ways we can stay sane by by cutting back on certain things. And last but not least, reflecting and improving. You all do it. And I hope that this session gives you a chance to kind of reflect and write down some things that can be helpful for you in making your life better. I hope that this will make that this session can make your life better. Now, I have a little worksheet that I'm just dropping into the chat box. And this worksheet is also available on your Sched, if that's how you say it. I don't know. It looks like Sched to me. I don't think shed sounds quite right. Anyway, so it's available 2 places. If you take it out of the chat box, you can click twice on it. All it is these 8 principles, because I just think these 8 principles are where most of us, we need help to kind of be effective, to be positive and productive in our classrooms. I really think that each of you could think of things you do under each of these 8 principles. And then I also think that you, as this is principle number 8, could reflect and actually come up with things that you could do more of, or things that are in addition to what you're already doing, which is what I hope you'll get out of me. So this is a worksheet. In other words, I don't want you to write everything down that I say. I want you to take these principles and put some ideas down underneath each one. I will give you some ideas, but guess what? We will give each other some ideas about each of these principles. Okay, let's talk about self-care. What do we need to be happy? I'm going to give you a stress test. It's a very simple stress test. I want to find out if you're stressed or not. Did you take this session because you're stressed? Well, if you are stressed, you will see this picture and you'll just see two dolphins. I mean, if you are not stressed, sorry. If you are stressed, you will see a difference between the two dolphins. All right. So if you're stressed, you'll see a difference. But if you're not stressed, there'll be no difference between these two dolphins. Thanks for laughing, Murray. You're my only video. And so at least I know you laughed, right? And then we have Bethany laughing in the chat box. Thank you, Bethany and Murray, for laughing at my little slide. The point is we all have some stress in our classroom, and we need to stay sane. But here's a perspective I want to think about, and I want you to say this out loud, no matter who can hear you. Is stress good or bad? All right. Some of you said good, some of you said bad. The smart one said both good and bad. And if you think about it, it is good and bad. As a matter of fact, there's two words that describe stress. One is eustress, which is positive stress. One is distress, which is the bad stress, right? But we always think of it as being so bad. Well, you know what? It is both. And so if we don't think about it as being good, what is good about stress? We could have a big, long discussion in the chat box about what is good about stress. And so if you think of anything after I present my ideas, please put them in the chat box about what's good about stress. It helps us perform better. And eustress, it's used to help us perform. And then eustress, we come down after we're stressed about whatever we need to perform in. I had 3 sessions today. I woke up early. I was a little stressed about these 3 convention sessions. I will finish this session at 12:40, and I will be able to relax and walk and just do whatever I want. It's going to be a great afternoon. Anyway, so that is eustress. It can help us perform. It helps us learn and to grow. If we don't feel some stress, we're not progressing, right? Not often, I think it always comes because of purpose. We have some purpose, and the biggest problem I think most of us face is too many purposes, too many things to worry about, too many things to do. But think about that, because purpose can lead to meaning. It doesn't always, but it can lead to meaningful things. For example, you all have a degree. Well, if you're a teacher, you have a Bachelor of Education degree. Well, that is a meaningful thing. Here's the thing about teaching. The best thing about teaching is that it matters. The worst thing about teaching is it matters, right? It is meaningful. And so, yes, it's stressful. Teaching matters, and so that creates stress. It can be hard, but it gives incredible meaning and purpose. And guess what? That's where we get this inner feeling of eudaimonia. Look that one up in the dictionary. It's an inner feeling of feeling good about yourself and feeling joy. So stress can lead to feeling good about ourselves. It can create positive feelings of fulfillment and accomplishment. When it's over, isn't that great? You know, when this session is over, I'm just going to be like, woohoo! Weekend, party time, family days off, you know, I am good to go. Anyway, last but not least, as we work through stress, we become more and more resilient. And stress, at the very least, leads to resilience because we learn how to deal with it. All right, so anything else that's good about stress? Go ahead, write it in the chat box. I hear crickets. Okay, crickets, that's fine. Motivation. Yes, it is. Oh, thank you. Rosie and Shauna thought of the same things. Hey, we wouldn't be having this great discussion if it weren't for stress. All right, perspective is really important here. And I hope by reframing stress as being helpful, that this can be helpful, right? So the glass half full, glass half empty, we all know that's pretty trite. I'm trying to show you the glass half full part of stress. However, I had a student really teach me something. This was a refugee student. I think she was from Uganda. And she, I was doing some sort of glass half full, glass half empty thing with my students. And she said, you know what? You're lucky to have a glass. Wow. What a perspective. Lucky to have a glass. This perspective of gratitude can really help our wellness as well. And so the perspective of reframing stress as being helpful and good, but also making it helpful and good by coming down off of the stress when we can. And then also gratitude leads to happiness. The joy we feel has little to do with what's going on around us or the circumstances of our lives. It has everything to do with the focus of our lives, what we are focused on. And so I hope that I can give you some things to focus on. All right, here's some different perspectives. My first teaching job was in this tiny little town in Alberta with 3,000 people. And so most of my students came from the farm. And this picture top right, I swear the farmers all thought that's what I did. Like, come on, farmers, I really do something. Honest, I do. Students, of course, bottom left think that we eat chalk, and kind of live there. If you haven't seen Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams' character in Dead Poets Society is my model. I just love the way he teaches. And then, of course, what do we really do? Pull our hair out. It can be really tough. Oh, we've got some other stuff on stress, that it can help build relationships, that it helps us reflect and teaches us. We get stressed and we're like, oh boy, I'm stressed. Why am I stressed? And so it teaches us. Thank you for that comment. Good comment. All right, so here's my tips on self-care. How about this? How about an afternoon nap? Like I said, you can throw it out. You can no way, Jose, I have all this involvement after school. I'm coach or whatever. There's no way in this world I'm going to be able to have an afternoon nap. Or you may throw it out by saying, I hate naps. I always feel lousy after I have a nap. Yeah, that's you. That's okay. Me, whenever I was having a nap after school, I was way, way better. I was way better. And so I found it useful for me. I thought I'd share it with you. Yes, you do have to organize yourself, and you have to I found that 20 to 30 minutes was okay. I would set an alarm, but I also found an hour was when my body automatically woke up after an hour. And so I loved the hour ones when I could just not set the alarm. So all right. The title of the Robin Williams movie is Dead Poets Society. Probably said, oh, there we go. Wanda and Bethany answered. Sorry. Okay. So a nap is one of my ideas. Do something fun at least once a week. I know some of you do something fun 7 times a week, but take a night a week that is just fun. For me, it's always Friday, right? Because it's the end of the week. And I love spending time with my wife. And so that's our date night. And we always know we don't book anything Friday evening if possible. We always go out to eat on Fridays. We always try to do something fun. I'm the fun part of our relationship. If any of you were in our last session, you'll know that. Anyway, so cardio is really good. Cardio is so helpful. There are so many health benefits. And guess what? For mental health, it's becoming more and more obvious. The study after study after study for mental health, they're saying it is the number 2 thing next to medication that can be helpful for depression and anxiety. Number 2 is just some sort of cardio. And last but not least, how about this? We're all teachers and we all say yes too much. We take on too much. I do it all the time. I love to help people. Oh, you want this? Sure, I'll do that for you. Oh, you need that? Oh, sure, I'll do that for you. Well, I have had to learn, and I'm telling you, learn how to say no, because here's what I do. I think, okay, how much time is this going to take? Do I have the time? How much brain space is this going to take? Do I have the brain space? Is this for family? Because if it's for somebody I don't even know, I don't really care about. Yeah, it's nice to do things for strangers, but it's more important to do for me to focus on family. So if it's family, then I say yes. If it's not family, sometimes I'll say no. Anyway, you can figure it out, but say no. Learn to say no. We all need that. So that's my stuff on self-care. What do you like to do to take care of yourself? Go ahead and give me some stuff in the chat box. I just justified your afternoon nap. Yes. I love it, Roden. That is fantastic. It is so critical. We are better teachers when we're napping. Oh, here's some other ideas, but I've kind of gone through these. Reading. Isn't reading for fun great? I just love reading. And I discovered this new thing, audio books, right? And you can actually get them free from the library too. And because they're expensive to buy. But I've bought lots and I've borrowed lots, and audio books, fictional audio. Oh, I can't listen to nonfiction audio. It's just kind of too boring, but fictional audio. Oh, I just love it. It transports me to a different world. Dogs love it. All right, Murray, this is your chance to shine. Anything you want to share from your own experience or from the chat box about taking care of ourselves?
It's important.
There we go.
Yeah, it's not worth it unless you can make sure. I've always said that you have to love what you do.
Yes.
That's an important part of taking care of yourself. And
yeah,
I really do appreciate the what you mentioned about your first year of teaching. And I think I might see, I know there are some of my students from my first year of teaching, and boy, oh boy, I feel bad. I feel so bad for for my students. I really do.
Yeah.
And that they had to endure me, but
and I hope we have some
yeah.
first years listening to us, Murray, because if you're a first year teacher, don't give up, right? Like it gets better. You figure it out. It takes a lot of practice, but you figure it out, right? So, and even from year to year, from from month to month, sometimes we just get better, right? All right, what have we got that I really like? Let me just read some of these. Everybody should be reading these and contributing these. Podcasts. Oh, I like that. I have friends that just live and die by podcasts. Cooking. Wordle. Hey, my wife plays Wordle. That's the new big fad. Look it up on the computer. If you don't play Wordle, you have to guess a 5-letter word. And you can't get it in an app, which is kind of interesting. I like that. Anyway, it's don't get an imitation app. Murray, do you know Wordle?
No, I know Wordle, and is that through the New York Times, I believe? Everybody's talking about the one word a day.
That's right.
The app can do like 5-6 words a day, and
yeah.
But there's also for the math people, Nerdle.
Oh, cool.
So you've got a bunch of boxes you have to fill with numbers and symbols and equations. Yeah.
Yeah. Nicole is relating. She's like, oh, this is hard. Sorry. Nicole's a first year. That's why. Okay. And Rachel too. So I'm glad we have some first year teachers, because really these are all things I wish I had known in my first year. I wish I knew that I needed to take care of myself a little better. Right. Okay. Please read the chat box. Evaluate yourself on each of these. Try to think about, are you doing this cardio that I talked about? How is your nutrition? How is your relaxation? On a score out of 10, how is your recreation on a score out of 10? Time in nature has been proven to help with stuff. Spirituality, giving back, serving others, but remember to say no as well. And then relationships. So these are all great ways, and we can kind of evaluate ourselves in each of these ways. I hope that you're putting one of these down on your worksheet, right? So the worksheet, you need something on there. So put either one of these down or something from the chat box or something from this slide here, something that you plan to do to take care of yourself better. And in a way, I hope you only have one or two. I don't want you to have 6 or 8 because, focus on one or two to do for yourself, so to speak. All right. French Wordle is perfect. And then, yeah, thanks, math people. Okay, let's move on to principle number 2. This is relationships. To me, the tips I have here are my most important tips. And the first tip that I have is to greet each student at the door. I have some videos about this, and we've seen some stuff on Facebook that's gone viral if you're a Facebook person. But give each student an opportunity to self-disclose once a week. Give them an opportunity to talk a little bit about themselves. And that can be done in lots and lots of ways. If you were in my other session, I like to pass around a stress ball. This is just a squishy kind of stress cow. Her name is Gertrude. And whoever is holding Gertrude gets to tell me a highlight from their weekend. And this works at all grade levels. The older they get, the less they want to talk. And so you need like a timer for K through 3. You got to shut them up. But then I find that grade 11s and 12s, they love it. They love holding my stress balls. I have 52 of these, and I even have little stuffies like this Batman. I love my Batman. Anyway, I have, like I say, I have 53 of these or whatever, 52, whatever. Anyway, so when they are holding it, they know it's their turn to talk and their turn to self-disclose, but they can also pass it. So the first couple of weeks at the grade 11, 12 level, they're always passing. They're like, oh, I don't want to say anything. And then by week 3 or 4, everybody is contributing. Why? Because they feel like it's safe. And so it really works well, the very best at junior high, I found. Like, I'm a recovering junior high teacher myself. And so junior high is fabulous for doing this once a week. It builds this climate of positivity, and you get to know them and they get to know you. And it doesn't have to be about their weekend. It can be an interest that they have, or a skill that they have, or something open-ended about them that is an opportunity to self-disclose. And it's very similar to the talking stick. And those who know tribes know that this is just so good. You can also do a wellness check, things like that. All right, enough about that. Teach, model, practice, and maintain respect. I tell my students, you walk through that door, you are in a no put down zone, put down free zone, sorry, a put down free zone. That there are no put downs in this classroom. And then I will teach them about respect. I will teach them, K through 3, I used kindness. And then 4 through 12, I used respect. And kindness and respect, I just really made it an important part of our class climate, that I tried to catch students being respectful. That was super respectful, Sally. Thank you so much for being so respectful. And then challenging students, and sometimes even just whispering in their ear, was that respectful? Okay. And last but not least, I really think that you can build relationship by sharing a little bit about yourself. Don't students love that? I speak to students years afterwards, and I love it when they identify themselves. Hey, you were my teacher. And I'm like, oh, really? What did I teach you? What's your name again? And then I ask them always, I say, so what do you remember? To a student, they always remember some story. Oh, I remember that story about you falling off the cliff, and I remember that story about you this or that. And so, I didn't teach them anything, but at least they remember the stories, right? But it really builds that student-teacher relationship. Here's a video about, well, 2 videos. First, a video about greeting at the door, and then a video about classroom management. And then after the videos, that's when I'll ask you to put a ton of things in the chat box. For now, just watch these videos. Here we go.
Yeah, okay, sit down. Abigail, which one do you want? Thank you, good morning.
Hold it. Did I click the right little buttons? I don't know if I clicked the right little buttons. Marie, can you hear it okay? You hear it fine? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.
Brian, good morning. Good job. James, good morning. Emma, which one do you want?
I think
Okay, come on. Good morning.
that one.
Good morning, Finn. Morning, Alan. Which one would you like? Jackson, which one would you like?
Check out
Which
the
one do you
dancing.
want? Colton. Ready? Good morning.
Love the dancing. All right. So, oh. All right. So, as you heard about, relationship is king. Relationship is king, and the quality of the teacher-student relationship is the single most important factor when it comes to classroom management. All right. So, that's principle 3, isn't it? Relationship is also a way to engage the students. So I have, well, this minute, let's back up because I haven't given you a chance to talk about ways to build relationships with the students. So let's go to the chat box. Anything that I haven't mentioned about, any ideas for just creating a little better relationship, a little better rapport with the students? I shared with you some of my ideas. We watched the videos. The greeting at the door and the getting them on task as soon as they walk in the classroom, they kind of go together. They're really important. And guess what? I do it at university. I do it at Concordia University where I teach. I greet them at the door every day. And then as soon as they are in the classroom, there's something they need to be doing. And that way they don't, you're out in the hall or at the door greeting, and that way they know exactly what they need to be doing as soon as they sit down, and you establish that as a routine so that every time they come in your classroom, they get on task right away. So that's another little tip. Okay, what do we got in the chat box? Marie, you're reading anything there that would be good to share?
Tara says, I love doing a circle every morning with grade 2.
Excellent.
Bethany?
Morning. Let me talk about that circle every morning. So I went to this school called L.Y. Cairns School. It has 500 students, ages 12 to 18. Every single one of them has a cognitive disability. I taught there for 14 years. And what I was able to do, because the curriculum allowed it, I was able to, because it was all modified curriculum, we were actually teaching K-3 curriculum to these students who were 12 to 18 years of age. And so I did it every day, and that little check-in every day. And here's what I would do. I couldn't ask them about the weekend every day. And so Monday, I'd ask them about the weekend. Tuesday, I'd ask them what they learned on Monday. Wednesday, I'd ask them a question about what we were going to learn that day. Thursday, I'd ask them about something they like or an interest, like something open-ended. And I passed the stress pencil or ball or whatever. I passed it around every single day when I was at L.Y. Cairns. I found that it worked beautifully, because I didn't do it my first couple of years at L.Y. Cairns every day. And then when I started doing it every day, it was magic. If you have the time at grade 1 or 2 or wherever you are, if you can do it every day, wow, it is gold. Go ahead, Marie. Anything else?
Bethany uses music. She loves the karaoke and teaches grade 7. I teach some grade 7s every morning. They're so much fun. And they love my singing. They really do.
Woo!
Hayana, I know Hayana, she does a lot of coaching. She opens the gym at lunch, and the relationship a coach forms with students it's amazing, and it goes a long way in the classroom too. Robin greets everybody with a good morning. I'm so happy to see you today. They light up every time. Alex, find meeting with parents as early as possible changes how kids are in my classroom. Making a connection with home is a great way to build a relationship. Absolutely. Tara, we use a talking stick to pass around, and I was wondering, like a conch. Do you have a conch, like from
a conch shell?
There? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the conch to talk.
Yeah. I don't, but you do. So great. Like
maybe, yeah, we could get rich by making a conch shell.
Now I actually own one. I've never used it in my classroom. I found this hole in the conch shell and I can blow it and make a noise out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alyssa has her video on.
Yeah.
I thought she might
Alyssa,
have had
did you want to
something.
say something?
Oh
No,
no,
she
I
turned it
scared her
off.
away.
It scared her.
I'm sorry, Alyssa.
No, turn your video back on, Alyssa, because we love to see people. All right. I love to teach people, not black boxes with names. Anyway, okay. Principle 3, we're going to go through these last few principles pretty quickly. Managing a class, one of the best ways is to engage the students. How do you engage them? Well, a unique, creative, novel activities we heard about already from the video and from some of the comments in the chat box. Regular opportunities to move. They have an attention span as many minutes as they are old. So if they're 6, they really need to move about every 6 minutes. If they're 10, they need to move about every 10 minutes. Now, you can't always do that, but you don't have to do it in big ways. Sometimes you can do like stretches or dances or whatever, but sometimes it's just putting them into groups and they get to move, or having them talk is kind of a movement. Just simple ways to give them regular opportunities to move can really help them be engaged. And then self-directed cooperative learning activities. The key there is accountability. They need to be accountable through a product they produce, or an assessment, or even just accountable by you walking around and talking to them and asking how they're doing on their self-directed learning. And I don't think there's a teacher on this planet that couldn't use nonverbal more. Isn't it gold? It is so great to just like proximity, just stand there until they start working, right? Or tap their book so they know what you're standing there for. But all kinds of things, like I even practiced in the mirror. And I had been teaching for 5 years before I practiced in the mirror. And I'm like, you mean I don't have to pucker when I do this? I've always been puckering when I do this. And then, of course, if they have earphones in, and I just go like this. Nonverbal, nonverbal, nonverbal. It just, the more you can do, the better. The less you can talk, the better. All right, so that's ways to engage the students in their learning. I'll tell you, FEAT is the best classroom management tool you have, because you just keep them on task by standing there, by asking how they're doing and encouraging them. And then, of course, procedures and routines. Procedures and routines. Elementary teachers are experts at procedures and routines. I'm not going to give, well, maybe I will give you time, but take a screenshot of this if you want to go through it and establish some procedures and routines. And I got each of these procedures and routines from the book called The Classroom Management Book by Harry and Rosemary Wong. Some of you are familiar with it. It is really, really helpful. I was a consultant for a while, and I was in a different classroom every single day. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good always involved routines. And I found that elementary teachers did it really well, and secondary teachers didn't do it very well. The secondary teachers that had routines in their classroom, wow, it was so much better, especially a routine for going to the bathroom, a routine for coming in late. I mean, those are just 2 really great routines. All right. So in the chat box, if you will share things to keep students engaged. You must be Timmy's dad. I'm Timmy's teacher. How do we keep Timmy engaged? Also, write anything that you want to start doing, write it down on that worksheet, please. Just so you can reference this. Humor, humor, humor. Bethany, tell us a joke. No, it's okay. You don't have to tell us a joke, but it is, one of my favorite teachers had a joke every class. And I love that teacher. There was a joke every class. Some of us may feel like we're not funny. I'm actually not a funny person, but I am a fun person, if that makes sense. And you can always find stuff online, funny videos, funny memes, all kinds of stuff. So So humor, 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 absolutely. Holly, it makes a really good point. Hey, Murray, like keep things moving, like um, keep them engaged by having things that they need to be doing. Silliness. Now, that was the problem I had my first year, as I was too silly and I had to rein in my silliness. So, so you, the more experienced you get, the more you recognize how valuable silliness is at the right time, right? So
I'm lucky. I get to teach grade 1 phys ed. I'm also kind of a secondary math teacher, but I give preps to the grade 1 and grade 2 teachers. And the silliness is so much fun with those grade 1s.
oh yeah,
I told
they
them,
just love it, don't they?
my last name Lalonde is kind of tough for them to pronounce, so I just say call me Mr. L, but don't call me late for dinner. And so yeah, what have they've been calling me? Hey, late for dinner, or Mr. L. They're so funny. Mr. L. I say you can call me Mr. L. Okay, Mr. Elephant.
Isn't that great? I love it. Yeah, humor is gold. I really like what where is it? Kristen said. Kristen says, hey, you know what? Figure Timmy out, learn about him. What's going on in his life, kind of thing, right? Where does he come from? I had a Timmy that he just drove me crazy. And then I found out that he had been in 14 foster homes. He was 12 years old and he'd been in 14 foster homes since the time he was 3. That's 11 years, 14 foster homes. Man, my heart went out to Timmy. And I'm like, hold it. I need to just like find out what Timmy's good at, what he loves. And Timmy loved to take pictures. So guess what? I got him a digital camera and boom, that was the end of any problems with Timmy. Now we get students who are legitimately oppositional defiant disorder. And the students I get that have that diagnosis legitimately, some don't have it legitimately. They actually have this subconscious desire to push your buttons, to make you angry. It's a subconscious thing. They don't realize it, but they are experts at pushing your buttons. And some of them, most of the younger ones, they use anger to get you angry. And they use anger to get others angry, especially other students. And they subconsciously want that. And so there's these students that can really have super challenging behavior. And some of you may be in this staying sane class because you have one of these students. Now, when you're dealing with difficult students, you can still be at peace on the inside. The Dalai Lama taught me this, and so did a guy named Viktor Frankl. He said, Viktor Frankl said, there's a space in between stimulus and response where you can choose. And so I'm getting this stimulus. I want to respond with anger. I want to respond impulsively. And I found that I can take those milliseconds in between stimulus and response and say, no, I'm going to choose carefully my response here. And sometimes I just shut up until I figure out what my response is. And the students know that. They know, oh, Mr. Bateman's quiet. What's going to happen now? All right. As was mentioned earlier, those students who struggle, we just need to help them we just need to learn about them, right? And learn about what makes them tick. So we've heard that. That's a great tip. Also keep the instruction short. We've talked about that, haven't we? And then help them find things they're good at. Find what they're good at. I am a big advocate of strength-based learning. Start with what you know and build on that. Start with what you can do and build on that. Front load is what we call it at the university level. We teach our pre-service teachers to front load their students. In other words, give your students what they need to learn what it is you're going to teach them. And the brain research says that any new learning, the brain's looking for the old learning to attach it to. Oh, do I know this? Where do I know this? How do I know this? What do I know about this? So fire up those dendrites that they already have grown and then add the new learning to it. And give them lots of choice. That's my advice for these exceptional learners. So I'm going to whip through these last few principles really fast. Give you my tips write down any that, or type, or whatever you're doing, any that you think might help. For sure, when you're working with parents, and I include this because parents can sometimes be very, very challenging. I once had a student swearing quite a bit in class. So I called and I heard, and the parents started swearing at me, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't talk to you about your child swearing then, like, anyway. So what do we do? Well, try contacting parents about good things, especially your struggling learners, your students with disabilities. Give a phone call and say, hey, they did this really well. Find something that they do well. I know that takes time, but man, it pays dividends. You can't imagine how good that can be. The only one that doesn't work with are those really mentally ill students. And by mentally ill, I mean legitimately oppositional defiant disorder. When they get praise at home, it just makes them mad. My teacher's praising me. Praise doesn't work with them very well. Okay, if necessary, establish communication. These days, we don't use a book. We use email, right? So, establish communication with the parent through email. When you meet with the parents, and even online or via email, let them help them be aware of this umbrella, that you both want what's best for the student. Make that known. I really like your child and I want what's best for them. And I know you do too. You're their parent and I know you want what's best for them. And I know you know them really well at home. But I want you to know that I know them really well at school, right? So that's a message that you can send them, because parents really don't know their child at school. They can have children that behave very differently at home than at school, especially if they have ADD or ADHD. They're fine at home, but school, they have to sit there and it's a little more difficult. All right, that's all I have for the parent-teacher relationship. Administrators actually like to help. They do. They all do. They wouldn't be there if they didn't like to help. The problem is they don't want to be told usually. They want to be asked. So don't tell, ask, and ask them for advice, please. They are so wise. Well, some of them. I've had like how many million administrators? I've been in 6 schools over 34 years, and I've had like 500 administrators. No, not that many. Probably, 30 administrators, if you count all the assistants as well as the principals. But you know what? They all had great advice for me, especially when I would ask them. And before I sent students to them, it was really helpful to talk about that student, just so they knew my perspective. Some of the schools have protocols in place where the students bring a paper that explains what went on, but and I found that helpful. Now, ask what you need from them. If you do need someone, could you please, come to my class and just watch this student? Not, you need to come to my class, right? That's when you get into problems with administrators, when you're telling them. Ask them to give you feedback. Ask for feedback. All right, that's administrators, and our time is up. But let me tell you that some shortcuts are okay. What are the shortcuts that are okay? Well, getting them working on their own, getting them on task, letting students mark each other's work at times, right? Collaborating with other teachers and stealing their stuff. This is what this session is. Steal all my stuff. I'm giving it all to you. Steal it, please. Write it down, use it, collaborate with other teachers, take their worksheets. Hey, that's a good worksheet. I want that one. Marie, you want to say something?
No, there was a quote, one of the Monty Python guys said, steal, but steal from the best. Or
yeah, there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Steal from the best
Danny.
teachers. That's why I get paid the big bucks to present to you, so you can steal from the best. All right, copy and paste your IPPs and your progress reports. I'm not saying don't copy and paste things that don't apply to that student. I'm just saying lots of things apply to many students. And so what's the matter with copying and pasting? And there's lots of technology that can help you. The Google stuff available for you to do. We could have a whole session. I hope you have whole sessions in this convention about using Google to save your time and energy, right? All right. And last but not least, I know our time's up, but I'd like you to take some time after this convention to think about what you can do from everything you've heard in this convention. And don't try to take on too much, but take on a little bit here and there. And I promise your life will be better if you follow some of these principles. We all make mistakes. Boom, ouch. But but the guy with the boat, he'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. Thank you, everyone. I've really enjoyed this session. Thank you for staying with me 3 minutes past. Take care.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you, Murray.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of everybody here. So,
awesome.
and if anybody would like to say it live, go ahead.
Yeah, that's also it will be available on video too if you want.
Thank you.
If you want to tell your colleagues. You're welcome, David. Thank you. And thank you